The man in my driveway. I live in a small, quiet neighborhood, the kind where nothing ever really happens. It's the type of place where the loudest thing you'll hear at night is your neighbor's dog barking or the wind brushing against the trees. But for the last few weeks, something has been wrong. It started one night around 2:17 a.m. I had just gotten up to grab a glass of water when I looked out my bedroom window and saw a man standing at the edge of my driveway. He wasn't moving. He wasn't walking toward the house. He was just standing there, perfectly still, his face shadowed by the streetlight behind him. At first, I thought maybe someone's car broke down or maybe he was lost. But when I blinked, he was suddenly looking right up at my window. I stepped back fast and peeked again. He hadn't moved, but now I could see his head slightly tilted, like he was trying to see me better. I turned off the light and just stood there, heart racing. After a few minutes, I looked again, and he was gone. The next morning, I checked the security camera. There he was, standing for almost 10 minutes, completely motionless. Then he turned and walked away, slowly, toward the woods behind my house. I told myself it was just a drunk guy or maybe a prank. But the next night at the same time, 2:17 a.m., I woke up again. This time I didn't even need to look. Something in me knew he was out there. And he was standing in the same spot, same angle, same stillness. Only this time, his head wasn't tilted. It was facing straight up, directly at my window. The third night I called the cops. They came, looked around, found nothing. They told me maybe it was a neighbor's shadow, or my imagination. But I knew what I saw, so I set up motion alerts on my phone. At 2:18 a.m. I got a notification. Movement detected. When I opened the live feed, my hands went cold. The man was closer this time. He wasn't at the edge anymore. He was halfway up my driveway, standing under the porch light. And now I could see his face. It looked wrong, pale, stretched, like his skin didn't fit him right. And his eyes didn't blink. I shut off the app, locked every door, and sat there till sunrise. By morning, he was gone again. I stopped sleeping at night. Every noise made me jump. One evening, I decided to check the camera footage from all the past nights. Maybe find some clue. That's when I realized something that made my blood freeze. The man was never walking in. Every clip started with him already there. No approach, no footsteps, just there, like he appeared out of thin air. And in every video, he stood in a slightly different pose. Until the very last clip. In the final video, he wasn't facing the driveway anymore. He was standing right at the front door. And his hand was pressed against the camera lens. That night I didn't sleep at all. I kept all the lights on, curtains closed, doors locked. When I finally checked the footage the next morning, there was nothing. No man, no movement, just a dark screen. Until I realized it wasn't dark. The camera was covered from the inside. And when I turned to look at my living room window, there was a wet handprint on the glass, facing inward. Clapperboard, the end. Telephone receiver, the calls that came from upstairs. I used to babysit for a quiet family that lived a few blocks away from my house. A sweet couple, and their little boy was only 4 years old. They'd usually go out for dinner every Saturday night, and I'd stay until they got back around midnight. It was always an easy job. The kid was calm, well-behaved, and loved his bedtime stories. Nothing strange ever happened, until that one rainy night. It was pouring hard outside, the kind of rain that makes the whole world sound muffled. The boy had fallen asleep upstairs, and I was just sitting on the couch scrolling my phone, with the TV quietly humming in the background. That's when the house phone rang. It startled me a little. because the parents never called on the landline. They usually texted me, picked up and said hello. For a moment there was nothing but static. And then a woman's voice said, very softly, "Check on the boy. He's not sleeping." Before I could say anything, the line went dead. I frowned, thinking maybe it was his mom, so I walked upstairs to check. When I peeked into the boy's room, he was fast asleep, curled up under his blanket, breathing peacefully. I smiled to myself and went back downstairs. Probably just a wrong number, I thought. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. Same sound, same number flashing on the screen. Picked it up. "Hello." There was silence, but this time I could hear something. Breathing. Slow, deep, steady breathing right into the phone. I said, "Who is this?" The voice came again, this time softer. "Closer. Don't turn around." Froze. Every muscle in my body locked up. For a few seconds I couldn't even breathe. And then, heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps. Coming down the stairs behind me. I turned my head just enough to see the hallway. Me. But the light at the top of the stairs flickered once. And went out. My heart was racing now. I grabbed the phone again and called the parents. The mom picked up right away. When I asked if she'd called earlier, she said no, they were still at the restaurant. I was about to tell her what happened, when I heard a dull thud from upstairs, like something had fallen over. She told me to grab the kid and get out of the house. I ran up the stairs as fast as I could. When I reached the boy's room, he was gone. The window was open. The curtains were blowing in the wind. And then, the phone in my hand came alive again. That same woman's voice whispered one last time. "You took too long." I dropped the phone and bolted out of the house. When the police came, they found no sign of a break-in, no fingerprints, and no footprints outside the window. But on the wooden floor, there were small muddy footprints, child-sized, leading toward the basement door. They never found the boy. The family moved away a few months later. But sometimes when I drive past that old house at night, I still see a faint light flicker in the upstairs window. And if I listen closely, I can still hear a phone ringing. Evergreen Tree, the thing in the woods. Last year, me and two of my friends decided to go camping deep in the forest, miles away from any town or signal. We wanted a quiet weekend, no phones, no noise, just nature. We found this old campsite next to a lake. It had a fire pit, a few logs to sit on, and an abandoned ranger cabin nearby. It looked a little creepy, but it was late, so we decided to stay anyway. That night, the woods were dead silent. No crickets, no owls, nothing. Just the sound of the lake water moving slowly. We sat around the fire for a while, told dumb stories, and then went to sleep in our tents. I woke up around 3 in the morning. At first I didn't know why. Then I heard it, someone outside calling my name. Very softly. "Hey, come here." Sounded like my friend Ryan. At first I thought he probably woke up to go to the bathroom or something. So I unzipped my sleeping bag and peeked out through the tent flap. And I froze. Ryan was standing by the trees, maybe 15 feet away, half hidden by the shadows, waving at me to come over. But when I turned my head, Ryan was still asleep in his sleeping bag, right next to me. My blood went cold. I looked back outside, and whatever was out there was still waving, only now it was smiling, not like a normal smile. Its mouth was too wide, too stretched, and it wasn't blinking. I zipped the tent shut, sat perfectly still, and tried to wake Ryan without making a sound. When he finally opened his eyes, I whispered, "Someone's out there." He looked confused. But when he sat up, we both heard it, that same voice, calling my name again. Except now, it was closer. "Come out." It wasn't whispering anymore. It was right next to the tent. Ryan grabbed his flashlight and unzipped the flap. He pointed the light straight ahead. And there was no one. Just trees. Me. We sat there in silence for what felt like hours. Until the sun finally came up. When we stepped outside, we saw footprints in the dirt, leading from the edge of the forest to right beside our tent, and then back again, except the ones going back weren't footprints anymore. They were handprints. We packed up and left that morning without saying a word. A few days later, I went online to look up that area. Just out of curiosity, I found a post from 2018. A missing hiker's last message before vanishing said he'd seen someone calling his name near that same lake. And the title of the post was, "Don't answer the voice in the woods." If you made it this far, you might want to check your windows. Sometimes the things we hear in stories are a little too real. If you enjoyed these stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more true horror tales, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss what's coming next. Stay safe and be careful.